Hey, what's up, hail stalkers? Lead meteorologist John Choquette here for a busy hail forecast here on this Wednesday. We had a lot of stuff go on yesterday, and we also had a storm this morning across Kansas City right at the start of the day. We're going to go over all that we can. Yesterday we had a Great Lakes Tornado Tuesday. A lot of storms happened, probably more tornadoes than what happened on the high risk day on Monday. Big tornadoes, some scary ones in Michigan, and I believe in also Ohio. And we also had quite a bit of hail, so we had a few 3 and 4 star maps. We'll go over that. Today is a pretty big hail day. Again, we started the day with a 3-star map in Kansas City, and I do not think that's going to be it. Nashville is a major city in risk, so I said, well, Nashville will be SMASHville today. And there's a lot of other areas across the Ohio River Valley and all the way down the dry line into Texas. So we'll break that down for you. And because there's so much today, I'm actually going to do a special video, probably just from the desk at about 2 o'clock this afternoon, where I'm going to break down the risk for Dallas tomorrow. It looks like tomorrow could be a pretty significant day, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. It looks like a classic hail day for there. I didn't get a chance to get all that together for you guys, so instead of rushing it, I figure we'll do a separate live video there. Maybe we'll even check in with what's happening for right now as well. So that's what we can expect for the rest of today and into tomorrow. This is all the storms that happened yesterday, and obviously we have a whole bunch of crazy stuff here sponsored by Merrill Law Group. Speaking of that, we have a bunch of hail. We had some hail down the Chicago area, hail up near Milwaukee as well. This was during the afternoon hours yesterday. Michigan City, Indiana had some pretty big hail as well. And also, you can see we zoom a little bit to the east here. We had those big tornadoes. I believe Portage, Michigan had a pretty big, scary tornado. I saw some videos of that. Tornado over in the Kalamazoo area, Indiana, parts of Ohio, and large hail. We had 4-inch hail in Michigan as well. You got to take a pretty intense supercell for that kind of lift, especially this far north. So that's pretty much the only way you can get really big hail in Michigan. And then other storms as well. We had some tornadoes in eastern sections of Ohio moving into Pennsylvania, some strong wind gusts, hail down in the Cincinnati area. Overall, a pretty busy severe weather day, even extending to the middle portions of Arkansas and portions of North Carolina. And I think we're going to see more coverage even today for storm areas. St. Louis, what's happening there? Don't worry, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that real soon, actually. But we're going to just finish highlighting what happened yesterday. So we made a 4-star map yesterday, again mentioning that Chicago area, Orland Park, Palos Heights, Illinois. So those are just Chicago suburbs. Michigan City, Indiana, Kendallville, Indiana, and 3-inch hail is the maximum hail size with that. I want to say that was in Indiana near the Kendallville area. But here you see, like, you got that 2-inch hail in the Orland Park area, and then further off to the east, look at this monster storm that ripped north of Fort Wayne. That one had I don't remember how big hail that was. That might have been where the 3-inch hail was. And then also south of Indianapolis as well. So overall, of course, we hit Chicago, one of the most populated cities in the country. So 305,866 homes were impacted by that, at least 1-inch hail, but a fair amount of that significant hail as well. A lot of high volume hail yesterday as well. 3-star map for the hail specifically here across Michigan. We have Kalamazoo, Portage, Michigan, Leonidas, really? In Coldwater, Michigan. I'm seeing the names that the team picks for the towns pretty much for the first time while I'm doing these, so it's always exciting for me. Big time hail, 4-inch hail. Look at that. We got a severe thunderstorm warning right now. Don't worry, we'll be getting to that really soon here. About 60,000 homes impacted with that. And of course, we did have tornadoes yesterday. I'm not sure if there are any fatalities, obviously, with all the tornadoes. We have the maps there. If you are a first responder or somebody out there to try to help the aftermath of tornadoes, we do have those maps available as well as we do provide them for FEMA. So with that, we're jumping into right now. You guys asked about St. Louis. This is current radar across the country. We're starting here in Missouri, and we'll move across what's happening right now. So we're going to start with zooming in here. Here's St. Louis. Here's a big real nasty son of a gun here south of St. Louis, moving east, tornado warned. Let's bring up what this tornado warning has right now here. It's warned for baseball size hail. Cities included for DeSoto, Festus, Imperial. So these are the far southern areas of St. Louis. So this is not going into St. Louis proper. This is moving east. About 73,000 people are in the path here. How fast is this thing moving to the east there, Joey? If you look on the give Joey a second here. He has not had the so it's moved. Golly, it's moving what, 45 miles an hour to the east? Yeah, it's hauling. So we'll be in DeSoto by about 12:38 Central Time, and then Festus there at 12:50, and that's pretty much right along Highway 61 here. If we clear this out, you can very clearly tell where the hail is going to be on this thing. So if you hit the bigger or clear all eraser button at the bottom, that should clear everything out for you. There you go. And then let's go correlation coefficient and see right in here, you see all that pink showing up, high reflectivity, and then zoom right in. Look at that. Look at all the hail. The radar's up to the north, so what's happening is the radar beam is hitting the hail, and it is distorting pretty much all of the reflectivity beyond that because it is hitting the hail. You got that low correlation coefficient when you see the yellows and the greens and blues like that. So that means a lot of hail. I think it's a ton of hail and very likely quite large. Let's go back to reflectivity. Let's go over to velocity. I want to see if what we're looking at here. It looks like a pretty broad rotation overall. I understand the tornado warning. This thing has had tighter rotation a little bit ago, but right now it looks pretty broad. Look at the backside of this. Man, golly, that RFD, the rear flank downdraft, so basically the wind coming out the backside of the storm, is pretty strong there. I think that's going to be some wind-driven hail wrapping around the backside of the storm, but the majority of the hail is going to be up here. You have a good, broad, mid-level rotation, so that helps keep those hailstones elevated in the sky a little bit longer. So that's most likely why you're going to have that higher chance of that baseball size hail. So if we go back to reflectivity, let's kind of zoom it out a little bit here, see what else is going on. So this storm will be eventually heading towards more population as we go. Staying south of St. Louis, if we zoom it out, let's kind of try to zoom out here. We have a bunch of storms. Basically, we have a boundary. I believe that's the warm front. Extending here. The storm is riding along a boundary. We have other storms firing off of it here in southern Illinois, getting down into Kentucky here, right along Highway I-24. We have a bunch of different storms. These are eventually going to all likely become severe warned as they race off to the north and to the east. Nashville right now looks to be pretty quiet. Let's see here. Don't have any warnings there quite yet. And then finally, if we move over to the Carolinas, okay. Yeah, let's stop right here. We have a couple storms trying to form. They actually were earlier across the Knoxville area. We had storms, and they're now moving off to the east. Here in the Asheville area, we have a couple storms here that are severe warned, looking a little janky right now. Honestly, the thing that I'm a little more interested in, I don't have the radar for this loaded up quite yet. Here's Greenville, South Carolina. This storm firing off the Piedmonts here. We've seen this a lot here in the Carolinas in the years past. Storms roll off the Piedmonts and come down to the Greenville area. I wouldn't be shocked if we see that. We already have a storm severe warned here. Let's query this severe thunderstorm warning. I don't know. I don't have the radar loaded. I just want to see what it's warned for right now. It's warned for quarters right now. We'll see how this evolves. I wouldn't be shocked, again, if we see some storms moving to the Greenville area. We already have a severe thunderstorm warning, or severe thunderstorm watch for far northern sections of South Carolina. So let's clear that out. Let's zoom out a little bit more here and kind of get an overview of everything for what we have right now. So we have what you see in the yellow. These are tornado watches, not particularly dangerous situations or anything like that, but it is tornado watches, severe thunderstorm watches. This will likely expire east of Kansas City here. Severe thunderstorm watches in far eastern sections of Tennessee, parts of North Carolina, all in the Appalachian Smoky Mountains here. We will end up getting very likely a tornado watch across the Nashville area a little bit later on. It also looks like if we move over to the Springfield area where the dry line is located, we have some storms trying to fire up now off to the west of Joplin, west of I-49 here. A couple storms. Not severe yet, and we're firing down south into Oklahoma. We'll see how these evolve through the afternoon, get a little bit more of that heating. We definitely could see some storms here moving across the Joplin, Springfield area, and then further south into Arkansas. So that's a look at what we have right now, right? So these are all the storms. That's currently happening. Our biggest one is off to the east here, south of St. Louis. Again, it's going to stay south. This one's going to stay south of St. Louis, but the areas to the south of there, over by Festus, likely going to get rocked with some pretty intense storms. Before we switch off to the actual forecast for today, let's zoom in here. We do have a fair amount of hail reports that came in a little bit ago. And if you just kind of you hit the query button and just click on the little hail reports, it'll bring up. So we had some quarter-size hail in Franklin. Just keep clicking around on them. Golf balls. So Merrimack Park, State Park receiving quarter golf ball size hail. Guaranteed this is a ton of hail here across, and probably up on I-44. Gas station 10-day report quarter-size hail in Sullivan. The storm didn't look as good then as it does now. It looks a lot nastier here. So, you know, that quarter to golf ball size hail, and again, now it's warned for baseball size hail, and it's a nasty, classic looking supercell, probably some high precipitation. If there ends up being a tornado in this, it'll very likely be rain wraps. So that's an update for what's happening right now. So what do you expect for the rest of today, assuming I can get, there we go. Well, here's that future radar. We're moving forward about 2 in the afternoon, and we have here, this is sponsored by Alice. I know it's a little hard to see, I'm a little bit squeezed in a bit, but in the St. Louis area, got that supercell that we were just talking about. By 2 p.m., it's going to be crossing the Mississippi River, again, south of St. Louis. But look at this, more storms off to the west. Storms trying to fire along the dry line here across far southwestern sections of Missouri, and all these storms trying to fire all along that boundary here, extending across western Kentucky, down towards the Nashville area, and the storms even further off to the east in North Carolina. Keep pushing that forward through the afternoon. Another round of storms moving through St. Louis. That one very likely will move through actual St. Louis here by about 5:30, and then we have storms pretty much, you know, paralleling along I-44. There's Springfield, Joplin, and then even east of Tulsa, places, you know, around Grove, the Grand Lake area, even further south, possibly towards I-40. Keep moving off. A lot of storms near Nashville here by 8 o'clock. This is 8 o'clock Central Time. You got all kinds of activity across areas of Tennessee north of I-40, and then storms basically just to the south of I-44. You got the Fayetteville area down by Fort Smith, and even extending into far southeastern sections of Oklahoma, all possible storms. And even at the very bottom of the screen there could be some storms in northern Alabama as well. So it could be a very active afternoon here across a large section of the middle part of the country. We haven't seen a lot of severe weather here yet this year, and it looks like it's all happening today. So it seems to be the theme for this year. It's either everything's going crazy or nothing at all. So how was Casey? I did not map that storm. I know it looked like a fair amount of quarter to golf ball size hail. We saw there were 2 2-inch reports. We had a hard time really confirming that, maybe, you know, a 2-inch stone. So a lot of that quarter to golf ball size hail with that quick moving north split storm. Again, solid 3-star map. Probably not as good as the storm from March 13th, but still a pretty good storm nonetheless. And as we keep moving through here on that future radar, by about 3 o'clock in the morning, everything's getting a little more linear as it pushes across all of Tennessee. And as we get into, the second round, if we get a second round of storms and move to St. Louis, the St. Louis proper area, that's probably the more likely time for storms. Again, that big storm we were just looking at, very likely going to stay south of St. Louis itself, more towards the Festus area. So, you know, we just talked about out east. We do have a chance for some storms here across, extending down that dry line. Dry line just moved through Oklahoma City. Dry line extends all the way down to Texas, and models are showing the potential for some storms to form this afternoon. It's not a big chance, but it is still a chance that we could see some storms extending possibly as far south as Austin, Texas. Here at 5 o'clock, this particular run of the model does show some storms trying to fire up, and look at that, by 8:30, we had storms fire and actually move across Dallas. This is the latest run that it loaded while I was trying to get this ready, so I'm seeing this for the first time as well. It's actually looking a little more likely we could see some storms here across Dallas after about 7 o'clock through about the 8:30, 9 o'clock hour. if they're able to break through that cap, right? You know, the big lid on the atmosphere, they could be pretty nasty. You could get some really big hail here across Dallas today. I'd say it's a highly unlikely, but much higher chance, if anything does form, will be really big hail. And then tomorrow we'll see some storms as well. And then finally up here in my old stomping ground up in the Northeast, we actually have a chance for some storms today. It's doesn't happen too often, but here across southern New England, we could see a couple pretty nasty storms. It's been very consistent with these across portions south of the Mass Pike, possibly right along the I-95 corridor here in Connecticut, parts of Rhode Island, and consistently it's been showing a storm pretty much starting near the Springfield, Massachusetts area and kind of cutting across northeastern parts of Connecticut near the Providence area and then across Cape Cod, which is still kept showing here as well. So we can't rule this out. This could be a sneaky little guy. Obviously, this is one of the most densely populated parts of the country, so if it hits a lot of folks, you're going to have roofs like my parents, up until about a month ago, they had about a 30-year-old roof, and now they have a brand new roof with Atlas shingles. There we go. I'm not even kidding. Hopefully my parents don't get hit with hail. I think my dad will blow a gasket if we just spend a bunch of money on a new roof and get hit again. So with that, what's that forecast maximum hail size today? Well, I'm not sure. It's softballs. We've already had tennis ball size hail today, tennis and baseball size. They got storm warned for baseballs, and the environment's only going to get more unstable through this afternoon. So it's very likely we'll see very large hail yet again today. We had 4-inch hail yesterday. I would not be shocked if we get that again today. And what does the map look like? We've already been talking quite a bit about what's been going on. So at this point, you're probably not surprised to see a lot of purple on the map here. Again, you got that high risk, high reward, right? You know, it's like low chances, but if something pops and breaks the cap, you're getting big hail across Texas. Where I have the hatching here, that's your most significant risk. So again, the colors on here are just the size potential of any storms. But the hatching is where I think the highest chance of storms are going to be. And then when we zoom in here with all the little pins, that's your probabilities. I have the Springfield, Massachusetts, Hartford corridor. I got a moderate chance for hail, so that's at least quarter-size hail today. With that potential of any of those more sustained supercells could get up to golf ball-size hail. Again, for southern New England, this is a really unusual situation. The meat and potatoes of the risk, though, I have low for Dallas-Fort Worth and then all the way down I-35 to Austin with that potential for storms. Again, if a storm forms and breaks that cap, it will go nuclear and have probably 3-inch hail with it. But that's the thing. The cap is more likely to hold today than it is tomorrow. So keeping with low here in Texas. But we also have a chance we could get a couple storms right around the big low pressure system that's causing all these storms. Wrap around here across Iowa and into far southeastern sections of South Dakota. So Sioux Falls and Des Moines, that's a low chance there. And then the main threat area, just breaking down going east to west, the Greenville, South Carolina area. I'm going pretty aggressive with this. I'm saying a high chance that you're going to see some storms. We already have storms firing here off the Piedmonts. We could have pretty big hail, possibly up to that tennis ball size. High chance there. Atlanta, there's an outside chance you get some storms maybe late tonight, but I'm keeping that low. Raleigh, I'm thinking is staying low. And then the bullseye here is going to be from about Fayetteville to Springfield to St. Louis to Nashville, Memphis, Little Rock. You guys see it there. Anywhere in those hatching, that's a high chance that you're going to see at least quarter-size hail somewhere. Louisville, you could see some storms, possibly as far north as Indianapolis, but really Nashville, you know, this line here from about St. Louis down to Nashville could see some really intense storms today, and anything that fires off the dry line and can stay discrete or isolated across sections of southwestern Missouri, northwestern Arkansas, and southeastern Oklahoma could have some real monster hailstones this afternoon. So let's break that down by city. Start with Dallas-Fort Worth, the lowest chance for storms today. It's all or nothing, right? Between about 5 and 9 p.m. We saw that in the most recent model run that it did show some storms forming. If anything goes up, breaks that cap, could be giant, baseball and larger, but again, low chances across the board. I don't think today is going to be Dallas's day. I think tomorrow is going to be the more likely day for storms. St. Louis, Missouri, again, I have between 1 and 6 p.m. I put this together a little bit ago when I wasn't sure where that supercell was going to be. The 1 p.m. timeline, again, we were just looking at that. I think that's going to stay south of St. Louis itself, go towards the Festus area with that big hail. But another round of storms possible later on this afternoon. That's why I have it through 6 p.m., maybe even a little later than that. Could be giant hail if there's any isolated storms. High chance of at least quarters, moderate chance of that bigger than golf ball size hail for St. Louis. And then Nashville, SMASHville, Texas, SMASHville, Tennessee, between 6 and 11 o'clock this evening. Anything that's isolated that moves through the Nashville area could have real monstrous hail with it. Pretty solid tornado risk as well. So 3-inch hail, I think, is that possible max size, maybe even larger than that if it would really get crazy. High chance of at least quarters across the Nashville metro today. Moderate chance of larger than golf ball size hail. Other cities that are at risk today, since we have a very broad area that could see storms. Springfield, Missouri, I have that very high chance. Little Rock's a moderate. Charlotte got that moderately high chance of storms. Going to kind of see how things play out here across northern South Carolina. Tulsa, very low chance. It's not impossible. The dry line's getting kind of close. Storms are starting to fire, so it may be a situation of you're either going to form on top of you or you're going to be seeing the big clouds blowing up off to your east. But if it does form on top of you, there's a chance for some hail. Hartford, again, that moderate chance. And that, I say Hartford, Connecticut. Connecticut's so small. It's like the whole state, really. And then Birmingham, Alabama, didn't really talk about that too much, but there is that potential for some storms to fire across the deep south as well, but a rather low chance overall. So we can't just talk about hail today. There is also that chance for some tornadoes as well. I'm highlighting the most significant region. So it's not everywhere where there could be a tornado. This is the area where it's most likely, when we look at yesterday's storm reports tomorrow, where the tornado icons are going to be. I think it's most likely to be located somewhere within here, along the dry line where it's most likely to fire, and along the boundary where storms are already occurring. So we got overall a moderate chance, Nashville, St. Louis, Springfield. This is a moderate chance of a tornado warned storm being within your area, within the city metro. Obviously, not everyone's going to see a tornado. I'm not saying there's going to be a big, violent tornado ripping across Nashville or St. Louis or anything like that today, but the tornado chances are there. If you hear the sirens, your phone goes crazy, really heed those warnings. There could be some pretty nasty cells today that have big tornadoes, and even possibly down towards Fort Smith. So again, took a long time to get everything going. We've had storms going all morning here. So we're going to kind of wrap this up. Now, follow us on all of our social media platforms, X, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, whatever. We'll be back. I'll try to do a little story on our Instagram and Facebook to give you guys a reminder. I will break down what to expect across Dallas tomorrow here. Again, on the platforms you're watching us on right now, I will do another video, probably just from the desk, at about 2 p.m., okay? I'm going to go eat some lunch, get the forecast together. I did not want to rush it today for the risk for tomorrow. So I'm going to do it as its own separate little video there. So tune in 2 o'clock. Where you're watching us right now, I'll be there live. Obviously, we'll do any live coverage as well for any big storms that do happen. If Nashville gets hit or whatever, this afternoon, we'll be live. I'm not going to be available this evening, but we could see some pretty nasty storms. If you're wanting to sign up, 855-334-4245. We're happily answering phones for you guys today, making sure everything's ready to roll. I know a lot of new areas or areas that haven't really been hitting a little bit are at risk today, so you got to make sure everything's all squared away. We're here to help. You can email us as well at info@hailtrace.com or visit our website at hailtrace.com. You know where we are. Chances are you're watching us. You probably found us and subscribed. All that fun stuff. We'll see you again about 2 p.m. and we'll break down what to expect tomorrow.